Hey everyone, this is Sandra Chan, your host of the Centaku Media Podcast. Or, for this segment of episodes, it will be the Centaku Media Journal. And this will be a slight departure from the previous episode I released, which is the pilot episode. If you haven't heard it yet, you can tune in right now on the very first episode, which will probably be only 2 episodes by the time you see this episode. And that basically sets the pace for what's to come of the Centaku Media podcast. However, with the Centaku Media Journal, I'm actually going to keep it separate from my planned episodes. So this will be like a bi-weekly thing because when I went back to check out my first episode, I figured this may be a little too long because it came in like a little over an hour long, which I'm satisfied with personally. Maybe a little too long for some people, but at least I've had time to explain a little bit about myself and what I plan on doing. So I'm actually proud of that. But I do want to make this a regular thing because I also did this. It's like 3 attempts of doing this that I've done in the past that's worked well for me. One of them worked well for me. So going back to a little over a decade ago, I started the Centaku Media Journal series of blog posts on the blog, which basically I highlight like at least the top 3 stories of things happening in the anime community, especially around myself, that involves anime, like conventions and all that stuff. So I tried using that format as well as the first attempt on my podcast around that era back a decade ago. The blog post series worked out really well, I think, but I also wanted to do it in a podcast format back then, but I also wanted to try it again, which is what you're listening to now in 2020, May of 2020 to be exact. So I'm thinking like having two episode every 2 weeks, maybe like the second and fourth Wednesday of the month. So if you're hearing this on the second Wednesday of the month, this is the very first episode of the month and the very first episode period. So I'm figuring like I would allow myself 30 minutes of talking about news, and also I've attempted this when I did live streams. I would start off the stream like 15 minutes before I actually played the game, talking about all the news happening in the anime world, gaming, and entertainment industries, all the, K-pop industries and all that stuff. So I'm going to do that for the podcast moving forward, so that way I'll have time for everything else. So it's a win-win situation. But I hope this format works for everyone, and we're going to get right into it. But I do want to ask if everyone is having a good time right now. I know in theory people are not having a good time, but I hope people are making the best of it considering what's going on with a lot of places still locked down due to the coronavirus outbreak. I know some, and if you live in the United States, some people are actually like reopening, but in my opinion, they shouldn't reopen because there's still like, you know, evidence that people can, it's going to get worse. And I don't want anyone else having to suffer because of one's, selfishness. So I'm hoping that people are taking the initiative and just staying put until things get better, which will be a little while longer. But in the meantime, there's like so much you can do, like catch up on your favorite anime series, find something new, take up a new hobby. Like we can get through this. So I hope everyone's doing good. Actually, as I record this, I'm like 15 minutes before have to get ready for work. But although the upcoming segments you'll hear will be like probably afterwards, because I'm using Anchor. I know it's like a little quick ad, but basically Anchor. I'm recording Anchor. You record your podcast on your phone, and you can also receive messages from readers. So I think that's like pretty cool. So this is the second episode I'm recording um on Anchor. So I'm really excited. I'm going to get in the habit of using it, and maybe I'll churn out some quality podcasts along the way. Although I'm not going to record every single episode of Anchor, I am going to like record some episodes using my mic I have set up for live streams. So you might hear a difference in quality compared to what you hear right now. And yeah. So there'll be probably better episode quality. So like for the news segments, I'm just sitting here at my computer reading when I'm reading what's I need to read on the computer, and then when I actually have like thought out segments for my main episodes I release like every last Wednesday of the month, I can just record episodes, my planned episodes on my mic afterwards. So that's actually pretty cool way to put it as far as productivity is concerned for episodes. So I'm really excited about these series of episodes again, which will be bi-weekly. So after this episode, stay tuned for the last Wednesday of the month. The main episodes will be released on the last Wednesday of the month, so it might be 6 Wednesdays in a month, which is impossible, but you get the idea. So there might be 2 episodes on a Wednesday. So I think this month there'll be 2 episodes. There'll be the Centaku Media Journal, and then the main episode. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm doing okay. I still have to work. I'm a member of the essential workforce, so I have to show up for work, unfortunately. But thankfully, nothing has happened where I work. So knock on wood. So I'm taking precautions, however, just make sure everyone stays safe. So I'm doing my part. And we can make it through this. And also, I do want to add that we've had seasonably or unseasonable weather here. And I live in Chattanooga, in Tennessee. And Tennessee is usually probably averaging around 80 degrees around this time of the year. But this past Saturday was actually like 38 degrees, and that's actually a normal temperature range for the Midwest, but not here in the South. I'm like, what's going on? Because I remember having this kind of weather around this time about 15 years ago when I attended Anime Central, which was like one of my first anime cons I attended ever. And like I think it one of the years I went, it rained, and I think the high it got, it was like maybe 60 degrees, but the low was like 45, 40 degrees. It was cold. So, yeah, let's think about it. Like if MomoCon were actually happening, which is still happening, but it's something I will explain later in the show. But of course, it's a safe version of it, but you get the idea. But yeah, if I attended MomoCon and was still like this come the end of the month, it would be kind of weird. But like the last maybe 5 MomoCons I've attended, it's been like scorching hot. So I'm like, I don't know what to think about it. It would be a nice change, but it's just like come on weather. But anyway, so we're gonna move on to the news segment. So I'll see you soon. All right, we are now about to get into the news segment of the news journal segment of this episode of the podcast. And as I said in the introduction, I plan on doing this like bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks. Although I might be late on a couple of days because I know work has been running me ragged with everything going on, but that's hopefully going to change soon, so hopefully I'll be back on my regular schedule. If you hear this episode on a Friday, that means it was late because my goal was to post it every 2 Wednesdays. But at least it's done, right? So that's all that matters. So you might get an episode sooner. So just keep that in mind. But also it might coincide, if this works out well, it might coincide with the release of the regular episode instead of this journal series. So look forward to that. But anyway, for the news segment, what I did for the first episode, if you haven't heard it, what I did is I break it down to categories. This is also what we did for our anime club back in the day called Scenic City Anime and More. And I know I have a story about that in my About page, but I do need to do an episode of it because it's been a long time since I've talked about anything relating to our club, since we're not meeting anymore. Not because of everything going on now in 2020, but for other reasons. But again, another episode. But I'll break it down to anime, gaming, and entertainment news, which is what we did. And since our club was anime and more, that means it's for anything other than just anime. So if you're offended that it's not purely anime, I'm sorry. But again, the point of Centaku Media is that I cover everything other than just anime. Although I'm more into the Asian pop culture aspect of it, not so much like Western, like BBC and all that stuff. So I'm sorry if that's what you came here for, but I really hope you stick around and see what I have to say, what I have to offer. And I'm always looking for critiques, positive, constructive critiques to how I can improve everything, not just this podcast, but also my blog, social media presence, and all that. So, again, thank you for listening, and we're about to go into the first anime news piece. And this one's actually exciting because I've actually posted about it on Instagram, and I'm blown away about how many likes it has gotten. I know Instagram likes and stuff is kind of unhealthy. Well, it is unhealthy in certain aspects, but if you follow Centaku Media on Instagram, which is at Centaku Media, I posted recently the magazine shot of. I don't remember the name of the magazine. I can't make out the name of the magazine because the characters I'm about to announce, or at least one of them I'm about to announce, is blocking the name of the magazine title, but it's also on Twitter. I think I liked it, so I don't post much on Twitter, so maybe you can find it. But if you were familiar with the magazine, they're on this magazine. But anyway, moving on. So, um, Pokemon. So for those that are into Pokemon right now, especially the 8th gen Sword and Shield series, the official Twitter account, I believe, of the anime Pokemon Journeys anime series, they announced that Raihan will be appearing in the anime in a future episode. Raihan, who those who don't know, he's the 8th gym leader of the Galar region, and he's a dragon type trainer. And as I've said in my Instagram post, is that I'm actually a big fan of his. Like after playing Sword and Shield, well, I played Sword personally. After I played through it, I became a big fan of his, and I'm like, oh my god, yes, he's amazing. Like, I know he's kind of flawed. I mean, he is flawed, I guess, depending on how you look at it, because he seems like he's just interested in taking selfies and actually doing gym fights. I mean, he's very competitive, and when he loses, he's like, well, at least I look good. I look good doing it. So that's all he cares about. So actually, it's kind of I guess a good positive way to see your defeat is that, well, at least you look nice being defeated. So anyway, so yeah, he also goes by Kibana in the Japanese version of the game, because you know Pokemon, they've had this long history of changing character names through different locales. So in the United States he goes by Raihan, but not Raihan, just English speaking countries he goes by Raihan, but it goes by Kibana, and any form of Kibana, whatever it means in Japanese, he also translated in other languages, even Korean. I forget what his Korean name is offhand, but yeah, he has different names depending on where you play it. But anyway, his voice actor is actually let's see, what's his name right here? Tatsuhisa Suzuki, who's actually the voice of Noctis in Final Fantasy 15 for those who are JRPG players, but also he's the voice of Ban and Seven Deadly Sins in the Japanese dub, of course, and he's also the voice of Makoto in Free, to name probably 4 or 5 dozen series he's been in. He's been in a lot, so I got that Anime News Network link in the show notes if you want to check more of the story, and also click through his encyclopedia link to find out what other roles he's been in. But also keep in mind that we don't know when this episode will air because Pokemon Journeys is the latest victim to all the delays going on with the anime series due to COVID-19. So it was originally going to air at the end of May, but it will happen at some point. So stick around. It'll be worth the wait. Anyway, moving on to our next news, we got something that Inuyasha fans would be excited about. So there's actually going to be a spin-off of Inuyasha called Yashahime, and the subtitle of it is called Princess Half Demon, and it's going to be a spin-off anime for, and I think there's like a manga project to it. Personally, and I'm sorry if it hurts anyone, but I'm used to keep up with Inuyasha, but not so much anymore, so I'm not huge fan as I was of it. Like, probably watch a good maybe 50 episodes of it, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I even tried to get into the movie, but actually never finished the movie, and I sold it to our shop here in town called McKay's, and I'm like, I don't think I want to get back into Inuyasha anytime soon. But anyway, so yes, it's getting a TV spinoff in the fall. Fizz Media announced, so I'm pretty sure that it's going to get a US release in the near future. I know soon after, but Fizz described the anime from the universe. The daughters of Sesshomaru and Inuyasha set out on a journey transcending time. In feudal Japan, half-demon twins Towa and Sasuna are separated from each other during a forest fire. While desperately searching for her younger sister, Towa wanders into a mysterious tunnel that sends her into present-day Japan, where she is found and raised by Kagome Higarashi's brother, Sota, and his family. 10 years later, the tunnel that connects the two eras has reopened, allowing Towa to be reunited with Setsuna, who is now a demon slayer working for Kohaku. But to Towa's shock, Setsuna appears to have lost all memories of her older sister. Joined by Maroha, the daughter of Inuyasha and Kagome, the three young women travel between the two eras on an adventure to regain their missing past. And also, if you go to the website, they also have the character designs for these new characters. And I also said that Teruo Sato, the episode director of Inuyasha, is directing the anime at Sunrise, and Kazuyuki Sumisawa, he's also doing the scripts after doing the same for Inuyasha and Gundam Wing, which, I am very, very, very familiar with. Like, Inuyasha not so much, unfortunately, but Gundam Wing I am very familiar with. Takahashi herself, the creator, Rumiho Takahashi. I'm pretty sure I butchered her name. But it escaped my mind. I'm sorry. I'm reading it too fast, but I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. But the creator is credited as the main character designer, with Yoshihito Hisunuma of Yakitake Japan, City Hunter, and what else? Oh yeah, that's the only two. But the subtitles, reading the subtitles, Shinjuku Private Eyes, returning from Inuyasha to adapt her designs for animation. And yeah, so sorry I butchered that part, but yeah, that's something to look forward to going into 2021, especially after everything that's happened this year so far. Oh my goodness. So that's it for that news. And next we got a few more. So speaking of returning series, we have Tiger and Bunny. I don't know if I mentioned this in the first the pilot episode in our news segment, but Tiger and Bunny is returning in 2022, and I am so excited. And Tiger and Bunny, for those that are not familiar with it, is a show that started in 2011, which was the same year as the whole earthquakes in Japan. I know that was like a really weird year at the time. For everything for that to happen, because I think Tiger and Bunny just ended right before it happened. But yeah, so Tiger Bunny is a show about superheroes who basically make a living on reality TV. The show starts with Kotetsu Kaburagi, who's goes by Wild Tiger, who's a superhero. It's basically they might take My Hero Academia, but this was before My Hero Academia. It was probably like right before it even started. So yes, Wild Tiger, he's a superhero. He does his job, and then all of a sudden, apparently, people are gonna make it out of a thing where they have a superhero TV station or like a news network or whatever, and they have this reality show where they show the other superheroes who have sponsors like NASCAR, like that regard like NASCAR, like their outfits. They have all these sponsors on, and these are real sponsors, by the way. So like, Barnaby, who's sidekick of Wild Tiger, Bunny, as he calls him, has sponsors of Bandai and all that stuff. So I'm like, it's probably a different approach of just anime in general. I think what the original goal of this show was, they wanted to do, I guess, something slightly different, but I think in order to get the show off the ground, they had to find sponsors. So I think that's the reason why they have sponsors all over the place on this anime show. And, people, I guess, take their advertisements, I guess, people don't like it, people do, and it's just a kind of a, I guess, it's, ruining the landscape of everything, like gaming, anime, and just, like, I don't know, like a cup. If you just take a cup that's from, like, I don't know, a disclaimer, I don't own any of these products or, like, get endorsed by them, but, like, say a solo cup, a plastic solo cup. Like, right now, actually, I have a clear solo cup. Like, right now, you probably see something, you might see an ad for, I don't know, Clorox. I know that's, like, very timely of me to say that, but, like, you might see a big Clorox logo on this cup and have nothing to do with each other. I don't want to, I do want to stress that I do not condone anything that involves Clorox in this cup, okay? I'm pretty sure that was a bad segue into that, but you get my point, right? So, anyway, that's what Tiger Money is all about, and it's getting a second season in 2022. And I don't know if they were gonna do this like next year, considering everything's going on, but 2022 apparently was good enough because that would actually mark the 11th year anniversary since Tiger Bunny aired. But anyway, it's gonna take place immediately after the movie The Rising, which was like the official. Well, there's two Tiger Bunny movies, but this is like the actual canon movie because the other movie is actually like a retelling of the anime series in movie form. So yeah, all the events that happened in The Rising, for those that are familiar with Tiger Bunny, is going to take place after that, and the supporting characters are also returning. So there's visuals that were released recently, so you can check that out on Anime News Network's. Actually, I think it's Crunchyroll. It's on both sites, but I think I have Crunchyroll in particular. So be sure to check that out. And two other news pieces to finish out the anime news segment. We have a former Viz Media executive who was recently hired as a part of Netflix Japan, Rob Pereira. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but he basically helped Viz Media to where they are, to a point of where they are now. But he was signed on with Netflix Japan, and I know the comments and on Anime News Network's forum for that post saying that why would they get someone like that? Like, he's an American when they want someone Japanese. But I'm guessing, considering Netflix is an American company, they would want, I guess, like an idea of what people like in the US and try to like, try to create some kind of connection of like getting like releases between Japan and US. I guess, I don't know. Well, not just US, but other parts of the world that can even get it license wise. But and that's interesting. So I got that link. And also one other news story. So last week I was talking about all the events that have been postponed, events and the anime that's been getting postponed because of COVID-19. So one of the conventions I may have not posted in that news link on my own post of all the events that have been postponed and canceled because of COVID-19. So MomoCon was officially canceled. It was canceled about a month ago this week. And that's normally held on Memorial Day weekend, which is like at the end of the last weekend of May. Well, not, I guess the next to last weekend. You get the idea. But normally it would have been held probably next week, right? So MomoCon would have been next week, right? But they're actually going to hold a virtual MomoCon event called MomoCon Online. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but you got to look at it. But basically, it's MomoCon, but add line at the end of con, so you got MomoCon Line. So it's actually pretty clever. So yes, it's going to be on the same weekend as the event would have been held, which would have been held at the Georgia World Congress Center. And this is also the year that they were going to go to the second exhibitor hall, which is bigger than the hall they're usually in for the last 4 years. They've been there, I believe. So it's sad, but also next year will be even better depending on how this clears up, which I hope it clears up, by then. So if not, like, even then, if everything clears up, I still got to take caution as far as, everything going on. So there will always be MomoCon, especially this year. It will be MomoCon this year, so the show must go on somehow, some way. So with this event, what they're going to do, from what I've read, is that they're going to have panels hosted on their Twitch channel, because they do have a Twitch channel, which is they also stream their events on the channel during the con itself. So they've been actually re-airing past panels and main events on their Twitch channel lately. So that I think what they're doing is that all the panelists that were confirmed to be at the con, they're gonna actually, I guess, do like a broadcast feed, I guess, from the streamer, to the panelists, to MomoCon's page, and then so that way everyone can watch. So it's actually pretty a good idea. And actually, there's actually been several cons already that have actually done virtual cons. So it's actually a pretty good idea. So I don't know if this is going to be a way of life. Like, it would be a good idea. As I actually, like, been virtual cons, like, Blizzard. They do have, like, a virtual alternative to BlizzCon if you can't actually make it to the physical con. So they've actually, that's been very popular. And, like, MomoCon, as far as MomoCon is concerned, I don't know. I think it's free. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but I'm sure there's got to be some kind of fee reimbursement for this. So, like, I wouldn't mind paying for, like, maybe a Saturday of few of it, but it will also be good publicity too, free press, so that way people that haven't been to MomoCon before, they get a taste of it. And then when everything is back to normal, like actual back to normal, not just reopening just because why not, like maybe like people that have been to MomoCon before, they'll go now, so that actually be kind of very exciting. And I'm actually, like I said, I want to check it out on one of the days, probably Saturday, because I'll be working on Friday, so it'll be fun. So I'm looking forward to it, and be sure to check it out on the weekend, which will be in the show notes. And that also concludes our anime news. Although technically that's her like offbeat news, but not really anime because MomoCon's not really anime, but you get the idea. But gaming news, entertainment news is what we have next. Okay, for gaming news, there's only two pieces. So just to add on to con news going tailing after MomoCon. So the Tokyo Game Show this year, of course, it's normally aired. Well, normally held in mid-September, it's been canceled this year for obvious reasons. And they are going to have a virtual showcase instead. So everything that you would see at the actual events will be just streamed to people who are interested. And actually, that's the same deal with E3. So E3 would have been held next month, but, it's been canceled, and they were originally going to, E3, like, people wasn't sure if this was going to go into June, but here we are in almost mid-May, or mid-May anyway, at least by the time you hear this episode. E3, would have been happening, but they just went ahead and canceled it for this year, so it was a good call. So basically, whatever like E3 is gonna do, Tokyo Game Show is gonna do. So it'll still happen one way or another. So just not an actual location, physical location. But anyway, all right. So the next and last bit of news, gaming news I have. Like, I know there's a lot more, but I know this week it's been kind of weird. So like, I tried to get everything as much as I could, but I know we could go in all day, and I'm still trying to gauge the timing of this. Like, it's probably going to be at least 45 minutes long, but I don't mind. But, like, if I had this in the main podcast episodes, it would be, like, over 2 hours long. So I'm trying to make this easy for everyone. So, anyway, the next piece of news I have is the latest DLC for the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game. I forget the name. Well, let's see, the name of it. Actually, I didn't actually read too much on it because it's kind of spoilery, because I actually haven't played the game myself, and it might have some spoilers with Super, and it's actually, going forward, this is actually slightly spoilery for those that haven't kept up with Dragon Ball, I guess, in the last 4 years, especially with the new Broly movie. So, DLC for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot reveals how Vegeta got Super Saiyan God. And Super Saiyan God, that's the form that Vegeta skipped before he went Super Saiyan Blue. So, from all we know, if you haven't watched well, again, spoiler, if you haven't watched the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, Vegeta is Super Saiyan God. Was just the red hair and all that, like Goku has. So Goku was the first one to do that, and we saw him go Super Saiyan God in the not Resurrection F, but Battle of Gods. Yeah, he was. We first see him as Super Saiyan God in Battle of Gods. But Vegeta just jumped ahead, went to Super Saiyan Blue. Like, what the heck? And you know how Vegeta is. He always skips a form for some reason. I'm like, why? Why do you skip a form and you want to, like, at least do it right, go in order instead of skipping a step? And I know people are not gonna count. They're not gonna count GT, of course. So GT is not even a thing anymore. Considering Super is a thing, but. Yeah, so the DLC explains how he got Super Saiyan God, and I don't know much details about it because I kind of don't want to spoil myself, and I'm actually behind. Well, not really behind, I need to catch up. Hopefully by the time you hear this episode, I've caught up, but I'm like half a chapter behind of the new Dragon Ball Super manga. And I know by the time this episode comes out, it'll be like um 2 days due, a few days due or whatever. It comes out like on the 20th of the month, so. And the fact that it comes out on a monthly basis is actually kind of a blessing because when I read Bleach, it was every week, and it like left me on the edge of my sheet. Left me on the edge of my seat, and I was like, "Come on." Anyway, so yes, there you go. So new DLC for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. So check it out if you haven't already. If you have the game, enjoyed it, and you want more content, it's there. So maybe you'll find out more before I do. But like, I'm kind of waiting for the game to go on sale, so it'll be a while before I find out, or if I decide to see it. Okay, well, there you go. But I got so much going on now. I just gotta take it a step at a time. But anyway, that's it for gaming news and entertainment news, which ends our segment rather soon of the news journal. So Stray Kids, who was the current upcoming boy band, K-pop boy band from JYP Entertainment, they're gonna make their Japanese debut for the theme songs of the new Tower of God anime, which was the big and one of the big animes announced from Crunchyroll, which is also a webtoon comic. So their songs are Top and Slump, and they were first previous opening ending songs of the anime Tower of God. Stray Kids will be releasing a full Japanese version of these songs for their Japanese debut album this coming June. And of course, the ending of the theme songs will have Korean versions. So, the Korean versions will be released, actually was released on May 13th, 6 p.m. Korean Standard Time. And the English versions will be released on May 20th at 6 p.m. Korean Standard Time. So, keep an eye out for that if you're a big K-pop and anime fan. I'm sure that'll be something to look forward to, especially if you're a Stray Kids fan. And moving on from Stray Kids to BTS, which is basically their, I guess, rival counterparts. Stray Kids, basically, I guess Stray Kids had the same style of music of BTS. I probably only know like one of Stray Kids songs, but it's all about BTS. I'm not a huge BTS fan. I'm not, a crazy army a fan. I'm sorry for those that I may have offended, but like I'm more of an old school BTS listener. And I mean by old school, it's like their first 3 albums, but like their most recent ones, their mainstream global ones. Their mainstream global albums are like, it's okay, it's cool, but I guess I'm more of I was into BTS before they were cool kind of kid, I guess. So you get the idea. But anyway, BTS. So their concert actually could have, and would have been this weekend. So their Map the Soul tour was, I guess, slated to begin in like late March, I think it was early April actually, and they were gonna have several U.S. stops, maybe a dozen U.S. stops, but of course with COVID-19 being the way it is, it's not happening. So they're actually going to reschedule it, and I actually managed to purchase a ticket. Like, it was a miracle. I purchased a ticket. I got like a good seat for like, after tax and all fees and stuff. I got like a good seat for $100, and I got an email from Ticketmaster saying that it's been postponed, and from what I've heard, they're not offering refunds for it. So I'm sure if you really, really, really need a refund, you can like fight them for it. But I'm actually gonna go ahead and wait and see what happens. Like, I would like to attend because seeing BTS may be a once in a lifetime opportunity, because I know they're due to go into the army soon. But I'm sure, considering the way things are, they probably going to exempt them for a little while longer. So I'm going to just wait it out, and when they actually have the tour rescheduled, I'm going to attend. So I'm hopefully be a good day. If not, I mean, I'm going to have to take PTO off to see them. So yeah, there's that. So if you got a ticket, chances are that is, you have to fight for a refund if you really, really need a refund. But moving on, so we got a couple of offbeat news. Well, one's music related, one is offbeat, straight up offbeat. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and finish the entertainment part. So DKDK TV, I think I got it right. I think I got their name slightly butchered in the last episode, but they're a channel on YouTube that goes like deep into the culture norms of Korea, from outside from what you see and read on Koreaboo or all K-pop. So one of their videos, so the video I shared last episode was about they interviewed a North Korean citizen, a former North Korean citizen, who's actually a cultural advisor on the K-drama Crash Landing on You. So she basically said that almost everything on the show was actually what they did in North Korea, but of course, being South Korean TV, they did alter some things to make it more believable. DKDK TV had another video that went into what Korea calls 90s G-Dragon, in which this person goes by Young Junil. And I think he made his debut in like 1991, 1992. And I actually was surprised that they even covered it. Like, I actually knew who he was, because if I were to show this to my friends, they were like, who? I mean, pretty sure a lot of people that watched that video were like, who? But actually, I'm familiar with one of Young Junil's song, and it's called Kanadara Babasa. I think I butchered the name of that, and I'm surprised he even said it that fast, but I actually heard one of his songs. Actually, I downloaded it, legally, of course, through what's that? One of those music services. It was a music service, Genie. They had a actual music service where people outside of Korea can download from. This was like about 4 or 5 years ago. No, 5 years, at least 5 years ago. So yeah, they had an actual download music service, and they had his song on there that was available to download in the U.S. And I heard it on YouTube at first, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta check this out, because it's that song, Kanadara Babasa. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering it again, but I'll have to link it in the show notes just to give y'all an idea of what song I'm talking about and how it's spelled or pronounced in Korean. But it's a New Jack Swing song, and I'm a sucker for New Jack Swing. I'm like a young old head. I'm like old enough, maybe. Slightly old enough, I'm like on a young spectrum of it, but I'm like a young old head, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So anyway, yes, the New Jack Swing song from that era, and it's actually very freaking catchy. And at the time, it was a hit, and he also had several songs. But the thing is that he got banned from television in Korea because he spoke English. He's a Korean American, so I think he was born in Korea, but he was raised in Los Angeles. So, of course, the feeling of getting rejected from, your own country is like, what? So, but then again, the 90s in Korea was very different times compared to now, because English is widely accepted. Because even when I was in Korea, like, half of everything, maybe like 60% of everything was written in English. And even though, like, understand a little Korean, like, I was still able to get around because everything was in English. So, and like, even people spoke English. So, like, like the older. There was an older lady I was talking to. I was trying to get change for like, I was trying to break maybe 10,000 won to get or whatever. I don't know what it is. I was trying to break a won note, and I was saying, can I get change? And I had to like use a couple of survival phrases to get it, but she understood what I said because mostly it was in English, and then I was transferred to a guy who actually like he grew up in the U.S. at some point because he spoke fluent English. So I'm like, okay, so that actually helped me. But I still said "kamsahamnida," which I hope it wasn't offensive, but I was trying, say thank you anyway. Anyway, so that's it for that part. But the offbeat news I had, which ends this news segment, is a story about a man from Daegu who was diagnosed with COVID-19, who attended a bar recently. And this is basically a story compiled from Koreaboo of Kate Edison's reaction to the man going to these bars when should know very well that, he should not go out into these places if he has COVID-19. So, Daegu, which is also the epicenter of where the coronavirus started, following the outbreak in Wuhan, which was like, the second biggest place was in South Korea. So, there's a little background for those that have been keeping up with it. So, there's a church in Korea called Centaku, which is, I'm guessing it's like a cross between, I'm not going to repeat them, not to offend anyone, like if anyone just happens to practice these religions, but it's like a cross between two of the religions that are basically cult-like. And that's the way they recruit people, is very cult-like. But they have a branch in Wuhan, and I'm guessing someone who's associated with the branch in Daegu went to Wuhan, or, has stayed in Wuhan at some time during the outbreak, around late December, early January. They came back when they were supposed to go in self-quarantine, but they didn't, and things are where they are now. So, Daegu, this man from Daegu, he was diagnosed with COVID-19. I don't know how he got diagnosed with it. I guess he went to a place where he didn't adhere properly to the hygiene expectations, and he went to a bar. And apparently, this bar, of course, had at least 100, 200 people. And when they found out that this man attended the bar, everyone freaked out, and everyone had to get tested. But the surprising part of the story is that no one got infected. So he was the only one infected. However, he was with a friend who got infected. So everyone at the bar was safe except for him and his friend. And Kate Edison's were basically wondering, like, why is he here? He knew better, so why is he here? And then how is it a miracle that no one's even affected? So chances are that he was probably like sitting in a corner somewhere away from people. He probably just got his drink and then walked away. I guess he was people watching, and then he left. So I'm like, wow. So I'm like, I'm kind of, amazed that no one got infected, because I don't know, like, you also got to think of the transmission levels, because you had to be stand up like less than 6 feet, right? So of course, social distancing is a thing. So I'm pretty sure that was what's happening. And actually, I'm surprised they had bars open, considering what was going on. They might have been practicing social distancing measures. It might have been a huge bar, I don't know. But as it's a miracle that no one got infected, then. This is like my first time doing a podcast regularly, and actually this is not the first time I've done a podcast. I mean, not just my own a long time ago, but it was actually part of a podcast which I would like to do again at some point, or if he's willing to do it again. So our latest contributor on Centaku Media is Sippy. So Sippy, he's been a follower of the blog for a long time, ever since I met him back in 2009. And he actually's been contributing to the blog as of late. So he has a few posts on centakumedia.com. One is about, actually I shared this on Instagram recently. It was a list of series of what to watch when you're, stuck at home. So one of the series that he recommended was Cells at Work, and it's a good series right now, considering that it's about the inner workings of one's body, and of course it's instrumental to everything going on with the virus and all that, and like how the body works. So it's, if you're familiar with the anime and manga, so that's something that, if you're familiar with that, or, of course you're familiar with it, so chances are you've seen it before. But if you've seen Cells at Work before, there's at least 15 series in total that he recommends that you should check out if you're running out of things to watch. That is, if you haven't watched it yet. So be sure to check it out on centakumedia.com. It's the current highlighted blog post as of the week of May 10th. So it'll be on there for a little while. I might share it again on Twitter, of course, which I need to do more of. I need to do more reposting, so that way new people that are following can check it out. But anyway, and thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're new here, you might want to check us out on social media. You can follow Centaku Media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, which is the handle Centaku Media, or at Centaku Media if it's Twitter or Instagram. And you can also check out our Twitch channels and YouTube channels, which is Centaku-chan, which is the Centaku from Centaku Media, but just replace media with CHAN, which is basically Centaku Channel if you think about it really hard. So thank you all so much for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode, which might be 2 episodes come 2 weeks from publishing day. Well, today is the 13th that this is recorded, so 2 weeks from the 13th is when the next episode should drop. If not, it might be a day late, as you know. Anyway, thank you for listening, and until next time, so long.